If every day on the Tour of the Basque Country has a flavour, then today it was all about the breakaway. Stage 5 of the Itzulia Basque Country Tour had a really gnarly profile, as you can see. In fact, rather unfairly, the last two intermediate sprints actually shadowing some amazing climbs that didn't even carry any KOM points. They were the big test at the end of the day, that was for sure. Well, wanting to take it on, it took a while to establish a breakaway, and when we got one, it was a super group. Julien Alaphilippe for Tudor Pro Cycling, Warren Barguil from Team Picnic Post NL, Pale Bilbao, the man who was born in Guernica itself, our destination today, was also up there for Bahrain. Bruna Amarai hunting mountains points to get back into the polka dots, and EF Education who sent Alex Baudin and Ben Healey up the road. Well, with 60.5 kilometres to go, they were kept within range until Ben Healey said, "See ya!" Julien Alaphilippe dropped back and looked at Alex Baudin, Healey's teammate, as if to say, what on earth's going on? What was going on and on was Ben Healey. Well, when he gets the bit between his teeth, he knows how to ride, and the terrain, would it favour him? Behind the peloton were busy closing down on the remnants of that breakaway. And indeed, they were all sharing the duty as we went over some really testy peaks. Every single one of them was being nailed by Healey, however, and his margin was increasing. Suddenly, there was a chance that any hope of a victory on today's stage, with the GC men destined to fight it out on Saturday, there was a lot of teams suddenly wanted to close this gap. And the motivation sprung forth. Yes, UE Team Emirates had been controlling, but Axel Laurence was up for it in his grenadiers, sent Omar Frahi to the front to try and grind down into this advantage, but Healey doggedly held on. Laurence himself just kept pushing on, but as the kilometres went by, hope failed to spring eternal. And so it was that constantly it was a winding down, and lots of Spanish riders and Basques also came up to the front in the chase. Enric Mas himself was up there. Also, Spanish champion Alex Aramburu, stage win already to his name, was tucked in here. But really, every single one of them was neutralised courtesy of the terrain and also by the gap, which started to look unbridgeable. So then, anybody else? Well, Aramburu had to go for it. Almost expected, I think, from the Spanish champion. Carried the golden helmet off the front, but yet again, it was to be neutralisation time and time again. Yellow jersey on the back of Shao Almeida was always up, and indeed in the vanguard, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe had a couple of rolls of the dice. They must have thought that Maxim van Heels would have been a feature on a day such as this. 13 kilometres to go, still with a 2-minute gap, and then over the top came Ben Healey. Still with a couple of bosses to deal with at the very end. Small, steep climbs with gradients of a gnarly 16 and 17%. But really, he had it in control. The crowd knew that too. They were welcoming him like one of their own. And with 3.1 kilometres to go, he dealt with all of the peaks. Now he just had to ride it into town. Well, it was a red rag to a bull for those behind, and Axel Laurence kind of wanted to show what might have been. All the closed season, he's been practicing sharp accelerations on peaks such as this. Wants to badge himself up as a baroudeur, started off today as amongst one of the favourites, and the man from Inis Grenadiers was always going to be the nearest man to this man. Ben Healey had time to think about how to celebrate. Over 24 minutes down in the overall classification, that didn't matter at all. He delivered today, brilliantly so, from a distance of around 60 kilometres. That was so impressive. Axel Laurence equally so, super explosive at the end of what has been a sequence of very tough stages. They brought it in. Velasco nearest to those two for XDS Astana, but Healey had delivered. Fabulous stage win for him. Super entertainment throughout this day. It's what the Basque Country is all about. So Healey bringing home the stage. Tomorrow, the run to Eibar is likely to be a little bit more predictable as the big men strut their stuff for the overall classification. Healey taking today ahead of Laurence, Velasco, Aramburu and Romain Gregoire. Super to see his smile and hear the love that the crowd just sent back to him. huge cycling fans here, and tomorrow they'll be cheering potentially a Portuguese. João Almeida leads the race by 30 seconds ahead of Schachmann, Lipovic. How will it pan out? We do not know. Nothing certain here, but the race around Eibar is going to be tough and wonderful. Join us for that.